When Amanda Rivera pulled into the babysitter's driveway in rural Tennessee to pick up her newborn son, she never expected to be met with a locked door, drawn curtains, and silence. No phone calls returned. No answers. Just the sound of her own heart pounding in her chest. And when the sheriff's department finally got involved, the woman inside, the babysitter Amanda trusted, looked them square in the face and said, "This baby is mine." Nobody knew it yet, but what would unfold over the next 6 weeks would tear a small community apart, spark national outrage, and reveal a truth hidden behind layers of betrayal, manipulation, and a desperate need for love. The real question was, whose baby was it? Amanda Rivera was 27 years old, a registered nurse in Jackson, Tennessee. She was the kind of woman everyone described as warm-hearted but fiercely protective. Her pregnancy hadn't been planned, but when her son, Micah, was born, 6 pounds, 14 ounces, she swore nothing else in the world mattered. She was a single mom. The father, a man she dated briefly, had left town the moment he heard positive test. And while that hurt, Amanda took the blow and turned it into strength. She worked nights at the hospital and used the money she had saved to hire someone part-time to help watch Micah while she caught up on sleep. That someone was Judith Kramer. Judith Kramer was 45. Soft-spoken, deeply religious, with a home that always smelled like cinnamon. She had been babysitting for years. Everyone in the community trusted her. Church moms, nurses, even sheriff's deputies. Judith didn't have children of her own. She lived alone, never married, and kept to herself outside of church and her babysitting jobs. Amanda met Judith through a local parenting group. She was recommended by 3 different mothers, all who said the same thing: Judith will treat your baby like her own. No one realized how literal that would become. Micah was just shy of 8 weeks old. Amanda had worked a double shift and texted Judith she'd be by at 8:30 a.m. to pick up her son. No reply. Odd, but Amanda figured Judith was busy. At 8:25, she arrived. Knocked. Nothing. Knocked again. Harder. The blinds were drawn, but she could hear movement inside. A creaking floorboard. A baby crying. She called out, "Judith? It's Amanda. I'm here for Micah." Nothing. Amanda's hands began to shake. She tried the knob. Locked. She pounded the door now, screaming, "Let me see my baby." Still nothing. She called 911. By the time the sheriff's deputies arrived, Amanda was in tears on the front lawn. She showed them texts from Judith, the baby's hospital discharge papers, her insurance records, everything. It was clear. Amanda was Micah's mother. They knocked. Eventually, Judith opened the door. Collected. She stood in the frame like she was greeting a friend for tea. "Where's the baby?" the deputy asked. Judith replied softly, "He's napping. But I can't let anyone take him. He's mine." The words dropped like a bomb. Amanda screamed, "What are you talking about? I gave birth to him." But Judith didn't budge. That's when everything went sideways. Because Judith had filed an emergency custody petition just 2 days before. Claimed she was the baby's biological grandmother. Said Amanda had abandoned him and was unfit. In a bizarre and convoluted affidavit, Judith claimed her son, whom Amanda had never even met, was Micah's real father. Without a formal hearing, a temporary stay had been granted. Amanda, completely unaware, now found herself facing a legal wall. "You can't take the child," the officer said reluctantly. "We need to sort this through family court." Amanda fell to her knees. "He's my baby. She's lying." But the deputies couldn't act. Within 48 hours, the town had split in 2. Some believed Amanda. Others, mostly older members of Judith's church, believed Judith had been called by God to rescue the child from a neglectful mother. Rumors swirled that Amanda had a past addiction, false. That she was overwhelmed and unfit, also false. That Judith was just doing what was right. Amanda retained an attorney, a good one, and they ordered a DNA test immediately. When the court-mandated DNA test results came back, the judge opened the envelope, expecting a simple clarification. But what he read shocked everyone. Judith Kramer was indeed biologically related to Micah. A partial DNA match confirmed it. She wasn't his grandmother. She was something else entirely. Amanda sat in the courtroom, her heart pounding, as the judge read aloud. Judith Kramer is the baby's biological mother. The room gasped. Amanda stood up, trembling. "That's not possible," she whispered. "I gave birth to him." And somewhere deep inside her, a chilling realization began to dawn. If Judith was Micah's biological mother, then who exactly was Amanda? When Cassidy entered the courtroom, her heart felt like it was carrying bricks. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She'd filed the petition for emergency custody under advice from the county's legal aid office. "You have rights," the woman at the front desk had told her, "even if she's the biological mother. If abandonment or abuse can be proven, you stand a chance." Cassidy had never wanted a legal battle. But after a month of being ghosted, ignored, and told, "Mind your business," she didn't have a choice. The judge, a middle-aged man named Arnold Whitaker, was known for being strict but fair. At least, that's what Cassidy hoped. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs until the door opened and a woman with sleek hair, long lashes, and designer heels walked in like she was stepping onto a stage. It was Brenna Caldwell. And she didn't come alone. Flanking her was an attorney in a crisp gray suit, 2 child protective service reps, and Cassidy froze, Brenna's mother, who had never once answered Cassidy's call since this all started. The judge banged his gavel. Court is now in session. Cassidy squeezed her own public defender's hand. "I just want him back," she whispered. "I just want Tyler safe." But it wasn't going to be that simple. Brenna's attorney, Richard Hale, stood first. "Your Honor, my client is the child's biological mother. Ms. Jennings," he gestured toward Cassidy, "was a babysitter. Nothing more. She overstepped. She kept the child without permission, and now she's spinning false accusations to maintain control over a boy who isn't hers." Cassidy wanted to scream, to stand up and shout, "That's a lie." But her attorney, Darla, gripped her hand tighter. "We'll speak when it's our turn," she whispered. Then came Brenna's testimony. She took the stand like a woman on trial for stealing designer shoes, not custody of a child. "I had to leave him with Cassidy while I sorted out some things," she said, voice trembling just enough to sound convincing. "I was dealing with postpartum depression. My parents cut me off. I had nowhere to go. I never abandoned him. I just needed time." The courtroom leaned in. Brenna dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "I love my son. I've made mistakes, yes. But Cassidy isn't his mother. She never was." That hurt worse than Cassidy expected, because it wasn't true. When it was Cassidy's turn, she stood slow, heart pounding in her ears. She told the court about the night Brenna left, the lack of calls, the diapers she paid for, the medical bills, the fear, the love. The first time Tyler said, "Mama," to her. Darla then submitted text records, voicemails, receipts, weeks of silence, evidence Brenna never even checked in. But none of it mattered. Because when Brenna's attorney requested a recess for private mediation, Judge Whitaker agreed. And when they returned, he delivered a ruling that made Cassidy's knees buckle. Until a formal custody hearing is scheduled, the child is to remain with his biological mother, Ms. Caldwell. Cassidy cried out, "No!" before she could stop herself. The judge warned her once. Darla tried to console her, but Cassidy couldn't hear a word. Because across the courtroom, Brenna smirked. Subtle, but sharp, like a blade sliding into her side. When she returned home that evening, the silence in her house echoed. Tyler's crib was empty. His toys, untouched. The blue blanket he couldn't sleep without sat folded in the laundry basket. She curled up on the couch and cried until her chest ached. The next morning, she called the police. Again. "Ma'am, unless there's evidence of abuse or neglect, we can't override a court order," the officer said, sounding tired. "I suggest you talk to your lawyer." Then she called CPS. And that's when things shifted. because the agent on the phone, Stephanie Rosen, didn't sound as dismissive. Wait, did you say Tyler Caldwell? Cassidy nodded, gripping the phone. Yes, I'm the one who filed for custody. We just received a tip, Stephanie said carefully, from a neighbor. There's been noise complaints. A possible incident. I can't say much. But if you're serious about protecting this child, you might want to get a DNA test. Quickly. Cassidy blinked. A DNA test? Stephanie lowered her voice. Because something's not adding up. And if what I just saw in his medical records is right, Brenna might not even be his biological mother. Cassidy dropped the phone. What Cassidy discovers after digging into Tyler's past changes everything. The real question becomes, not just who should have custody, but who the baby actually belongs to, and how deep Brenna's lies go. The words rang in Cassidy's head like a bell she couldn't silence. Brenna might not even be his biological mother. She sat on her kitchen floor, phone still buzzing in her hand, heart racing like it was trying to run away from her chest. Could it be true? For months, she thought the system was punishing her for not being blood. But what if Brenna wasn't either? What if the whole thing was a lie? Cassidy showed up at the county medical clinic at 7 a.m. sharp, holding a photo of Tyler in one hand and the name of a DNA testing lab scribbled on a sticky note in the other. She didn't have time to wait on the court system anymore. She paid out of pocket, money she didn't have, to get a swab test done from Tyler's pacifier and hair samples she'd kept from his baby book. She knew it was a stretch, but desperation doesn't wait for paperwork. The lab tech said results would take 48 to 72 hours. 3 days. 3 days of no sleep. 3 days of doubt. 3 days of waking up at 2 a.m. thinking, what if she's right? What if I'm just the help? But then the call came. Miss Jennings. Cassidy held her breath. This is Carla from Vital Gene Labs. I just wanted to let you know. We completed the analysis. Her heart nearly stopped. And there was a pause on the line. Based on the samples you provided, Brenna Caldwell is not a biological match to the child. Cassidy's knees buckled. She gripped the counter to keep from collapsing. Say that again, she whispered. She's not the mother, Carla confirmed. Not even close. We ran the markers twice to be sure. This child, he's not hers. Cassidy sat down on the floor, eyes filling with tears, this time not from loss, but from hope. But there was no time to waste. She raced down to Child Protective Services with the printed DNA results and a stack of everything else she had. Photos, receipts, text logs, even Tyler's drawings where he'd written mommy next to stick figures of her and him. The receptionist flagged a supervisor. Within hours, a full review had been launched. And Stephanie, the same CPS worker who'd hinted something was wrong, called her personally. You need to hear this, she said. We dug into Brenna's background. Something isn't right. Cassidy listened in disbelief as Stephanie explained that Brenna had never filed a birth certificate. There were no hospital records with her listed as the mother. No prenatal care. Not even insurance history that included a pregnancy. And then came the real kicker. There's a police report from 2 years ago, Stephanie said, filed by a young woman in Memphis. She was 8 months pregnant when she was attacked, and her baby was taken. Cassidy gasped. No way. The case went cold, Stephanie continued. No leads. No arrests. But the baby's description, ethnicity, birthmarks, the timing, it matches Tyler. Everything clicked at once. Brenna hadn't just left the baby with Cassidy to sort her life out. She'd stolen that baby, disappeared from one town and re-emerged in another with a baby that was never hers. And for over a year, she fooled everyone, including Cassidy. With CPS and police now involved, Cassidy was brought in to meet the original mother listed in the 2-year-old police report. Her name was Tiana Brooks, 25 years old, thin frame, eyes that looked 10 years older than her face. The moment she saw Tyler's photo, she gasped and covered her mouth. That's my baby, she whispered. Cassidy stepped back, unsure of what to feel: relief, heartbreak, betrayal. She had loved Tyler like a son, but now she had to face a truth more painful than anything she could imagine. She might have to give him up. But Tiana's story wasn't just tragic. It was horrific. She had been attacked by a woman who offered her a ride after a prenatal appointment. Someone she thought was just a good Samaritan. She woke up 2 days later in a rundown motel. Drugged. Bleeding. Her baby gone. The woman was never found. Until now. And the sketch Tiana had filed back then? It matched Brenna Caldwell. That night, Cassidy sat in her car outside her home, unable to move. All the memories, Tyler's first steps, his laugh, his little hand in hers, flooded her like a storm she couldn't outrun. She had always prayed for his safety, but now she prayed for guidance. "What's the right thing to do, Lord?" she whispered. "What's justice in a world like this?" But before she could make a decision, her phone lit up with a call from Detective Janine Rogers. Her voice was urgent. "Cassidy, I don't know where Brenna is. She's disappeared. Took the baby. We think she knows we're coming." Cassidy's heart stopped. "She's running," she breathed. "Yes," the detective said, "and we believe she's heading south." As a multi-state manhunt unfolds, Cassidy is pulled into a desperate search for the baby she raised, and the woman who betrayed them all. But what's discovered next in a roadside motel will change everything. 2 states away, 1 duffel bag, 1 stolen baby, and 1 woman on the run with nothing to lose. Brenna Caldwell had vanished into the night, just hours before police could execute the warrant. And she didn't go quietly. According to neighbors, she'd packed hastily, argued with someone on the phone, and left with the baby wrapped in a hoodie. No car seat, no formula, no plan. But the rage in her eyes? It was terrifying. Detective Janine Rogers immediately issued a statewide Amber Alert. Interagency teams across Tennessee and Georgia were notified. Border Patrol checkpoints were flagged. And Cassidy, she couldn't sleep. She paced the living room floor, Tyler's toys still scattered where he'd last played. Her phone was glued to her hand, waiting, praying for updates. When the call finally came, it wasn't what she expected. "We found something," the detective said. "You need to come down to the station. Now." Cassidy's mind spiraled. Was Tyler safe? Did they catch her? Was it too late? When she arrived, Janine was holding a manila folder and a silver locket. "We traced Brenna's credit card to a motel outside Macon, Georgia. She was there for less than 20 minutes. But what she left behind." Janine opened the folder. Inside were photos of Tyler, new ones, dated just a day ago. She flipped another page. It was Brenna, sitting on a motel bed, holding the baby. And beside her, a man no one recognized. Cassidy leaned in. "Who is he?" "We're still working on it," Janine said. "But here's the disturbing part. That motel, it's known for human trafficking. We're worried she may be trying to sell the baby." Cassidy gasped. Her legs buckled, and she had to grab the back of the chair. No, she wouldn't. But deep down, she knew. Brenna wasn't just unstable. She was dangerous. Just after midnight, Officer Delaney of the Georgia Highway Patrol pulled over a suspicious blue Dodge Neon. Broken tail light. Temporary plates. Driver looked nervous. Inside the car, a woman matching Brenna's description. A crying toddler in the back, wrapped in a blanket. No car seat. No birth certificate. No explanation. When asked who the child was, she claimed, "He's my nephew." But when pressed, she ran. Out the door. Into the woods. Left the car. Left the baby. Tyler was recovered minutes later, shaken, but physically unharmed. Brenna, however, disappeared into the tree line. Cassidy's phone rang. She answered before the first ring finished. "Cassidy, it's Janine. We got him. Tyler's safe. He's in protective custody. We need you to come identify him." She didn't even put on shoes. She just grabbed her keys and ran. When Cassidy walked into the small exam room and saw Tyler's tiny frame sitting on the bed, she burst into tears. He turned toward her slowly, and the second he saw her, he cried out, "Mommy!" He reached for her like he'd been waiting forever. Cassidy dropped to her knees, scooped him up, and held him so tight, it was like she was trying to make up for every lost second. He clung to her, sobbing, tiny fingers gripping her jacket like lifelines. "I missed you, baby," she whispered. "I'm here now. Mommy's here." Even the officers in the hallway teared up. But the story wasn't over. Because Brenna, she was still out there. And what the detectives found in her motel room sent shivers down everyone's spine. The walls were covered in newspaper clippings, articles about child custody battles, missing persons, and court corruption. In the corner sat a trash bag filled with baby items. Bottles, used diapers, a pacifier with Cassidy's initials scratched off. And on the nightstand, a single note, handwritten. "You all think you know what's right. You don't know what I've lost. You don't deserve him. He's mine. You'll never find me." It was signed, Brenna. With Tyler finally asleep in his old bed, Cassidy stared out the window, every light on in the house. She was grateful, yes, but also terrified. What if Brenna came back? What if she tried again? What if next time there was no warning? Cassidy knew she needed more than just relief. She needed justice. The judge banged the gavel to silence the murmurs. Based on the evidence provided, DNA test, medical records, the kidnapping investigation, and testimony from law enforcement, this court acknowledges that Brenna Caldwell is not the legal or biological guardian of the child known as Tyler. Cassidy held her breath. The court hereby grants Cassidy Jennings full and immediate custody, with protective measures in place. Tears welled in her eyes. She couldn't believe it. But then, the judge added something that changed everything. And due to the ongoing investigation into child abduction and endangerment, this case will now escalate to a federal level. A warrant for Brenna Caldwell has been issued nationwide. Narrator's voice lowers. But just when Cassidy thought it was over, a strange envelope appeared on her porch. No return address. No stamps. Inside, a Polaroid of Tyler, sleeping, and the words, scribbled in red ink, "Still watching." The envelope was cold to the touch. No stamps. No handwriting that matched Brenna's. Just one Polaroid. One phrase. "Still watching." Cassidy's blood ran cold. Tyler was asleep in his bed, just feet away. The thought of someone standing close enough to take that photo, to watch them unnoticed, was worse than anything she'd imagined. She called Detective Janine immediately. By the time the police arrived, the envelope had been bagged and tagged. Fingerprint specialists worked quickly, but there were no prints. Only a faint chemical smell on the Polaroid, developer fluid. Meanwhile, in a dusty truck stop just outside Tallahassee, a tired waitress noticed a disheveled woman sitting in the far booth. Dirty jeans. Hood pulled low. A duffel bag slumped beside her. The woman scribbled in a notebook furiously. Between sips of black coffee, she muttered, "They'll never take him. Not again. He's mine. He's mine." The waitress only remembered the woman because of what happened next. She paid in cash, then asked for a map. Back in Jackson, Tennessee, police briefing room, Detective Janine laid it all out. Brenna was not just acting erratically. She was building a delusion. "She's constructed a false reality," Janine explained. In her mind, Tyler isn't just a baby she cared for. He's a child she believes was taken from her. She's framing herself as the victim. Cassidy's eyes welled with fear. "She's stalking us. She was at my house. That photo." "She's escalating," Janine said quietly. "And we have a new problem." A second DNA sample had been submitted, this time from a sealed record Cassidy had forgotten even existed. Years ago, when she was trying for fertility treatments, her clinic stored a record of her embryo donor's profile. The donor had never been fully anonymous. And that's when the case took another shocking turn. The donor was Brenna's cousin. Cassidy and her late husband had gone through an embryo donor program in Arkansas. They'd selected a profile based on health, education, and medical history, but the donor had listed no known relatives. Turns out that was a lie. Brenna's cousin, Emily Doyle, had used a different name to donate. And when she passed away suddenly in a car crash, Brenna found the records among her belongings. She connected the dots and became obsessed. She believed that baby, Tyler, was Emily's son. That made him, in her mind, family. And family, to Brenna, was worth fighting for. The FBI gets involved. Because this was now interstate, federal, and included tampering with medical records, the FBI stepped in. They traced her last confirmed sighting to a motel in Tallahassee. Surveillance showed her buying a wig, sunglasses, and a prepaid phone. But then she vanished again. What she left behind. Another note. This one written directly on the motel mirror in red lipstick. You can keep lying to him, but he'll always know the truth. I'm his real mother now. Cassidy's breaking point. Cassidy couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. She kept Tyler within arm's reach every second. Even playtime was filled with panic. One night, while folding laundry, Tyler asked, "Mommy, who's the lady with the green eyes?" Cassidy froze. "What do you mean, baby?" "The lady outside my window. She smiled at me." Cassidy dropped the basket. Detectives canvassed the neighborhood. A neighbor 2 doors down had a smart doorbell camera. They reviewed footage from the night before. There, just for 3 seconds, a woman's figure stood on Cassidy's porch. The light caught her face briefly. It was Brenna, wearing a janitor uniform, holding a teddy bear. She'd left it at the front door. Inside its stitched belly, a SIM card. On it, a chilling audio recording. "Hi, Tyler. It's Mommy. I know they told you mean things about me. But don't worry. I'll come get you soon. Just remember what I taught you. Red means stop, green means go. You'll know when it's time." Soft music plays. A lullaby hums in the background. Cassidy covered her mouth. Detective Janine turned white. "We have to assume she's preparing something. And fast." With the FBI involved and Cassidy placed under full protective custody, agents swept the neighborhood, posted unmarked vehicles nearby, and set up facial recognition flags at every bus station and airport within 300 miles. But they couldn't predict what happened next. Because Brenna didn't flee. She came back to finish what she started. A blackout struck Cassidy's block. Power lines down. No internet. No cameras. Cassidy was home with Tyler. Her backup generator failed. Her cell phone had 1 bar left. Then, a soft knock. 3 times. She peered out the peephole. No one there. Then again. The knock. Louder. Suddenly, a glass shattered in the back of the house. Cassidy screamed. She grabbed Tyler and ran to the panic room installed just days earlier. She dialed Janine's number. Voicemail. Then a voice whispered through the vents. "You can't keep him from me forever." The panic room door was sealed. Cassidy clutched Tyler close, trying not to cry too loudly. Her heart raced in sync with his tiny chest pressed against hers. Outside the steel-reinforced walls, glass crackled under soft footsteps. A shadow passed by the backup vent. Cassidy whispered, "It's going to be okay, baby. It's going to be okay." But she didn't believe it. Then, just as Tyler began to whimper, the silence broke. "Cassidy, come out. You don't have to do this the hard way." Brenna's voice. Come. Measured. Too calm. Back in the FBI's surveillance van, 2 blocks away, a signal was triggered. One of the doorbell cameras, though offline due to the blackout, had battery backup. It pinged a motion alert. When the image popped up, the agents recognized her instantly. "It's Brenna. Go. Go now." 3 SUVs peeled out from hiding. Cassidy felt a metallic clang above the vent. A scraping sound. Brenna was trying to unscrew the cover. "Open the door, Cassidy," she said through gritted teeth. "I'm not here to hurt him. I'm here to save him. You were never supposed to have him." "You lied," Cassidy yelled back. "You're not his mother, Brenna. You're sick." A chilling laugh echoed through the wall. "No, Cassidy. What's sick is pretending a stranger is your family." Suddenly, Tyler's voice broke the tension. He whispered, "Is she going to take me, Mommy?" Cassidy held him tighter. "No, baby. No one's taking you." And then, a crash. Wood splintering. The reinforced door groaned. She was trying to break in. Red and blue lights sliced through the blackout night. Officers poured in through the front and back doors. Brenna froze. The first command came sharp through the megaphone. "Step away from the door. Hands where we can see them." Brenna didn't move. She stood silently, tears streaming down her face. "Don't you get it?" she whispered. "I am his mother." Then slowly, finally, she dropped to her knees. She was handcuffed on the living room floor. Cassidy emerged from the panic room, shaking, with Tyler in her arms. Their eyes locked. Brenna's expression flickered, part devastation, part relief. And then she said it again. "You can lie to him now, but one day he'll come looking for me." Brenna O'Hara was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison for kidnapping, stalking, and attempted abduction. The court declared her mentally fit but dangerously obsessive. During her trial, the jury heard chilling evidence. Her journal, where she mapped out her plan to raise Tyler in a remote cabin. Surveillance footage from a hardware store where she bought panic room breach tools. A hidden safe filled with fake documents, including a forged birth certificate for Tyler with her name listed as the mother. Cassidy took the stand. She didn't hold back. She told the courtroom everything, from trusting Brenna to the sleepless nights, the silent threats, the creeping dread. Her voice cracked only once. "I gave her my child to care for, and she tried to steal my entire life." Today, Tyler is 8 years old. He's in therapy. He knows something happened, but he doesn't know the full story. Not yet. Cassidy plans to tell him when he's ready. She keeps one thing hidden in a lockbox: the audio recording Brenna left, just in case. Jackson, Tennessee was shaken. No one could believe the same woman who used to babysit for the local church, who volunteered at the library, had plotted such a dark, calculated obsession. Parents across the neighborhood reevaluated their trust in caregivers. Background checks doubled, and Cassidy's story became a national headline. Life lesson. In the aftermath of trauma, Cassidy learned that motherhood isn't just about biology. It's about sacrifice, protection, and unconditional love. She trusted. She got burned. But she survived. "Being a mom doesn't make you perfect," Cassidy said in a later interview. "But it does mean that when your child is in danger, you fight. With everything you've got." And that's exactly what she did. 3 years later, Cassidy received a letter. No return address. Inside, a single Polaroid. Tyler, at his school. Taken from behind the fence. On the back, one word was written in red ink. "Soon."